Hello, this is Cuckoo. This here is the Matriarch by Moog. It's a semi-modular synthesizer and I like it very much. In fact, I love it. I love the tone, I love the semi-modular aspect, I love the modular aspect. It is fun. It's paraphonic. I love that too. What you're hearing now in the background, I love that too. So actually what I want to do today is to make a mega tutorial on this little baby. So let's do that. Alright, so here we are. This is the Moog Matriarch. The matriarch, the mother of all mothers. I've tried a lot of Moog synths, but this is the first one that really caught my attention. So this is my first Moog. I've tried some software Moogs and they're very good, but this is at a different level. It appeals to me. So that's why I'm interested in this, and that's why I'm taking all this time to show it to you, because I want to show how it works. So the Moog Matriarch is a semi-modular. It says right here, semi-modular analog synthesizer. What I want to show you is how it works, what a semi-modular is, and how far you can go with the modular aspect, and yeah, basically just show you how it works and why I fell for this. It's kind of neatly organized. You can see, you know, there's colorful segments and boxes like so. It's kind of neat to be able to see that. Not every modular is neatly organized. So the first thing I want to know is like to get a brief overview. So I'm going to show you that now. Arp and sequencer. The arpeggiator is a regular arpeggiator. It's very nice. And the sequencer is kind of nice, where you can punch in a series of notes and then change it in real time. And you have, let's see, 3 banks with 4 sequences. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 sequences. That's nice. And you can run them a bit backwards and forwards and stuff. Nice. Modulation. This is a place where you can have an LFO run in different speeds and create like a vibrato or a filter movement or something. But what's special about this oscillator is that it can, if you want to, it can run in full oscillator speed. So this can essentially become a 5th oscillator. In fact, I asked one of the Moog engineers and they told me that it is actually an oscillator. They have modified one of these to become a LFO. So that's very nice. This one is a utilities. You can see a completely the same one over here. So 2 utilities things, which starts with a multiplier, which is a way of taking one CV signal and multiplying that and have the same signal come out into all of these 3, which is very handy. Sometimes you want one signal to be sent to several destinations at once. Very nice. Attenuator is a way to select how much of that modulation you want to send to a different destination. 2 of them. Nice. The oscillators, these are mainly the ones generating sounds. So if we take a look at all of them, they look identical, right? Except for this little button there. So they can be synced, having these synchronized to the previous oscillator in different ways. So this is the mixer. There's 5 sound sources. As you can see, there's noise. So let's listen to it. I'm going to turn it up and press. Ooh, okay, these are up too. Let's turn them down. How was the noise? Oscillator 1. Oscillator 2. Sounds the same. Let's change oscillator 2 and see what it sounds. Octave. Oscillator 1 and 2. Oscillator 2. Sawtooth. Square. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that's the mixer. As you can see up here, actually everywhere, is patch points. It's very clearly labeled. It says in when it's an input, and all of these boxed labels, they're outputs. So in fact, if you don't end up using the noise here, you can just hijack that and send another signal in there into the noise in. So if you have a modular synthesizer or something else you want to have right here instead, you can just send it in there, noise input, or another one, maybe oscillator 4, maybe only using the first 3 ones, and yeah, send something in on oscillator 4. That's very handy. The filters, and it says filters as in 2 of them. What's so special about this, and one of the reasons that I really fell for it, is that the two filters that can be placed in stereo. Right now it's in stereo. We can't really hear the stereo aspect of it right now, but if I space it out, this is an offset of, I believe, one of the filters. Is it the left one? Let's try. The right one, at least in my headphones. So that can offset the 2 filters, and then so sounds a little bit weird to have so different sounds in right and left ear. Yeah, so that's the filters, and you can have them in parallel or in series, but in the middle it's in stereo. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that. This is the utilities. We know what that is because it's the same thing here. Envelope generators. There's 2 envelope generators. It's the filter and envelope generator and the amplitude generator. So attack, decay, release, sustain. Yeah, so these 2 envelopes, they're the same type. So this one, the amplitude envelope generator, it's taking all the audio coming here and it's changing the amplitude. So if I want a lower sustain, closer decay, closer, shorter, longer attack, longer release. Both of these can be sent to different parameters. This one is also pre-patched, so it's pre-patched to this point here. Envelope amount, filter envelope amount. So I can use this envelope to automate the filters. So let's have a short attack, a semi-short decay, sustain around there, and short release. And envelope amount, set that to plus. And as you can hear now, when I'm playing, it only fires off in the beginning of a note. And then all the notes following in the same continuous play are not firing these generators envelopes off. But that can be changed by pressing this multi-trig, like so. Off, on. Yeah, so that's very handy. And also the envelope amount can be negative. Yeah, okay. Then we have the stereo delay. So all of this is going on and then it's being sent into the stereo delay. Let's mix it. I'm finding this totally lovely. And right now you can see the spacing. This is offsetting the right and the left channel a little bit. So if this is 0, it should more or less be a mono experience. But the more you take it into one direction, you can hear that the right and the left ear, they don't have exactly the same. So that is giving it an epic touch. Feedback, you can make it, let's see how it distorts. It's very nice. And time. And you can set it to sync tap. If that is on, it's going to sync to the tempo that you set by tapping this one. 1, 2, 3. And then this one becomes divisions of the tempo. Nice. So then we're here. I'm going to turn down the stereo delay for now. This is the output module. It's like the main volume. But one thing that I absolutely love with this is the paraphonic. Paraphonic mode is making this almost behave like a polyphonic synth. We've got 4 oscillators here, but in voice mode 1, all of them are being fired off at the same time. It's monophonic. But if we turn this to voice mode, well, 2 or 4, I'm going to choose 4 first because it's easier to explain. Paraphonic mode number 4 is making the 4 oscillators behave as if they were polyphonic. But this is happening before they're getting mixed and going into the filters. Because each oscillator does not have its own filter, it's called a paraphonic. So it's still just one signal chain. It's not 4 signal chains. Paraphonic. So listen to the difference now. Voice mode number 1, all of them are following a single note. 4, all 4 of them are divided up into 4 different notes. So if I'm just playing one finger, it's gonna just play the first oscillator. If I'm gonna press 1 and then a second one, it's also gonna play the second one, but follow the second finger. So depending on which finger plays first, it decides which one is fired off first. And that you can leave that up to chance by decisively playing them at the same time and see which one just happens to be first. Which I think is great fun. So what if I press a third one now? First of all, we still have the multi-trig on, so every time I fire off a new key, it's going to fire off the envelope generators. But we didn't hear a new tone, and that's because we haven't mixed these into it. So oscillator 3, oscillator 4. Okay, oscillator 4 then. This is so much fun. I mean, this is an expensive, great, like high quality synthesizer, and maybe some people are frowning upon my choice of sound when I'm choosing these super clean, like without a filter. But I totally like, there's something about the raw oscillators making me feel really, I don't know, I just like the sound of it. I think they're clear but beautiful. So if I make a chord of 4 notes here, I can't know for sure which one is going to be fired off first if I press them at the same time. So why does it sound like something is going on there? It's because I've tuned the oscillators differently, in different octaves and with different sound waves. So we've got one triangle here and one square and one sawtooth and one square with a pulse width different. And depending on which order I press them, it's gonna be different, which I think is so much fun. Listen to this. I love this. Can you tell? I love this. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Like a paraphonic mode number 4, which we're playing now, is dividing these up to follow 4 different notes. In 2, it's gonna be like 2 notes that firing off in pairs, like. But for me, it's all about number 4 there, or number 1. I rarely use number 2. So I'll leave it at number 4 for now. So this is all without any patching going on. So let's make like one patch that is moving a little bit, still without any patching. So first of all, let's make the filter move a bit. So like that, I'm gonna set the filter to quick attack, slow decay, maybe move all the way down. More. With a filter like that, a filter typically, if you have a lot of resonance, for instance, you can hear some distortion in there, and these are not designed particularly to handle polyphonic material, so you can hit some combination where you create really subtle or like true hard distortion. And also, if you drive the volume up, I just set them halfway, which I think is kind of the sweet spot. But if you drive them even higher, you can distort the signal path a little bit. And you can use that, like if we have more subtle use of the envelope here. Maybe have it grow slowly, like a slow attack, and have it grow. Let's see. Turn this off. And with some epic delay. I think it's really nice. Let's also have like the modulation do something here. So let's use the sine wave and slow it down and have that have some sort of impact on the filter. So cutoff amount to cutoff. Slowly. Okay, I'm gonna like dial these down to avoid that massive distortion. Maybe dial this up to have more clarity. Guess this isn't again. Slow attack. Okay, like so. I think it's so lovely. Yeah, there is a tone that is just so nice, and just when you move down that, there is something so sweet about the bass frequencies that is kind of embracing you. Yeah, I like the sound, and I still haven't done any patching. This is all just, yeah, it's in its pre-patched state, semi-modular. With semi-modulars that are pre-patched like this, sometimes I'm finding it be a bit distractive, like where is the signal path already patched and so forth. But with this one, I find it absolutely logical. I don't find it confusing at all that it is pre-patched and that I can patch it. So is it time to do the first patching? Yeah, maybe it is. And how about taking a cable and use the modulation here? It's now a sine wave. Oops, I'm gonna take the wave out and send it to something. I'm just gonna send it to oscillator 1 linear FM in and see what happens. At slow speed like that, it is very much like a vibrato. Well, what it's doing is that it's sort of offsetting the waveform in a way, or the amplitude of the waveform where it's currently at, in a frequency modulation way. So it's modulating the frequency of this oscillator. So what happens if we turn this up? It goes really, really fast. Let's turn it to a triangle and do it again. Let's turn this to monophonic again. I'm just going to use oscillator 1 for now. Yeah, so this is now running at audio rate. Let's listen to that, in fact. I'm going to take the wave out there and hijack oscillator 1, which is going to override the oscillator 1 just momentarily. So now we're just hearing the modulation, the LFO here. Typically a modulation and LFO, low frequency, it runs at a low frequency, but this one can run at a high frequency. Typically an LFO stops like around there or something, a very low bass, but then we turn it up. It goes very high. If we want this to follow the keyboard, how do we do that? Well, got a surprise for you. On the back side, see, can we do this? I don't know. Yeah, can I display the back? Yeah, kind of like that. So we've got more patch points down here behind it. So this section here is the keyboard section. So there's stuff here that can be plugged in. Let's take a long one. Mod wheel out, keyboard. Yeah, that's the one we want. So the keyboard. Yeah, so I just took the CV output of the keyboard range. So this is converting the keyboard output into CV, and it's making it follow the keyboard. Let's plug this back in. Wave out, oscillator in. So now this is just set by this knob, the pitch of this. But if I plug this one in into right in, so we're playing with the LFO now. If we now take the wave, this one which is tuned, and put in the linear FM input, it's now going to follow the pitch relative to the keyboard, and now it's making much more musical sounds. But this is now running at full force. It's just sending this signal out into here without any change in amplitude. But we can use this attenuation. So we're sending this signal through the attenuator. I gotta make this tighter, these pink ones, and out into the linear input now. So this is going to yield the same result. So we can attenuate the signals. It's a little bit crazy and wacky. But that is cool. So what if we send this into something else, like the pulse width modulation input? Well, on this waveform, it doesn't do anything. But on the square ones, that is bonkers. So what I'd like to do now we're getting into it now, is to use the mod wheel to do this. Can I do that? Absolutely. Let's take a look at the back again and see if we have some nice patch points. Mod wheel out. Yeah, let's take the mod wheel. Like so. And send the mod wheel to the attenuator. Can be controlled. So what it's doing now is taking this value from in voltage and sending that voltage into the CV input of the attenuator. And that means it's gonna do this for me. Let's see. That is kind of nasty, isn't it? Cool. Just to make a shorter sound here. This could be cool with a filter. So let's listen to the filter again. Right now I'm running in stereo. That's probably my favorite position there. We can see these are pre-determined. Like parallel is doing a high pass and a low pass. The serial placement is doing a high pass first and then a low pass. In stereo is 2 low pass. So if we're doing series, let's see what that is like. First a high pass and then a low pass. Another thing with the filter that I didn't talk about is that it can be keyboard tracked. So if we hear, let's say, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 1 if we set it to a particular tone, maybe we'd like that tone to follow the keyboard. Right now it's not, but if we turn this knob, another thing that I'd like to do is use velocity to, if I strike this harder, I'd like the envelope amount to be higher. Can we do that? Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you asked. Let's try to find it again. Keyboard velocity is the next one. Yeah. So keyboard velocity is now at my disposal. Where do we send it? In essence, this one, I would like that one to react to, let's first of all just send it into the envelope amount input. So this should convert the whole range of the velocity into this knob. It's far too much. It's too much. So I need to send it into the attenuator and then out. In this way I can select how much of that. Yeah, cool. So we're learning something, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the sequencer. This one, if you turn it to the left, it's going to be the arpeggiator. But it's not going to play the arpeggiator unless the play is pressed. It was playing kind of slowly because this one. Yeah, I like it. That's the arpeggiator. You can select how many octaves it spreads to. If it's going backwards and forwards like now, or just in the order that you press them. Or if it's going in random. I think it's cool. If we, however, set it to sequencer, it's going to play the sequencer that are stored instead of playing the arpeggiator. So if there is nothing stored, it's going to play nothing. Right now I think there's something stored, so let's just... Yeah, there was something stored there. I'm going to make it slower. Okay, so how do we record our own sequences there? Well, glad you asked. We set it to rec. Immediately when you set it to record, you're going to just overwrite whatever is in the current bank and sequence. So if we set it to bank 1, sequence 1, whatever was there is now going to be overwritten the moment I press the first key. So a little sequence there. I'm going to set the sequence, but it's going to play in the order that this is set to. So in the order, forwards, backwards, or random. I'm going to set to order. If I set it to random, yeah, random, backwards and forwards. And these can be changed on the fly. Yeah. In the sequence, there are 3 buttons down here as well. It's called rest, tie, and ratchet. If I input a rest, it's going to, put an empty trig. If I tie, it's going to make a long trig and tie together with the next trig. Ratchet is going to do a double trig. So record, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, like so. You see it flash there. If we do the same thing with the tie, 1, 2, 3, 4, tie, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. We almost can't hear it because the release time is very short, long, and sustain and stuff. So it's tying it together. The third one, ratchet, works like this. Okay, see what it did. Double trig. The fun thing is, let's punch in a long sequence now. That's a long sequence. Okay, now I can start punching in these in real time. So if I turn this to rec while it's playing, it's now gonna back. I think this is super fun. And if I don't want to hold this, I can press hold. If I turn this to rec again, while it's playing, it's holding, and I input new notes, let's see what happens. Yeah. I think this is super fun. This is stuff that I enjoy to do. Yeah. So let's do something else. Okay, let's go a little bit experimental. Just gonna jack everything out again. Let's start from scratch. Okay, let's turn it over to monophonic and see if we can explore this sync enable. I always like to explore these things without any filter involved, just to see what the clear sound sounds like. So just oscillator 1 in triangle. Sounds like that. Oscillator 2 in triangle. Sounds like the same. If I enable sync and press this button here, could you hear that? Without this, I'm just retuning that oscillator. But with that pressed in, I'm going to force this oscillator to restart its own cycle, regardless of where it is in its own cycle, once this cycle has come to a full cycle. A full cycle is basically determining the basic pitch of this. So what about the next one? So let's have one of these vary a lot in pitch. Like, let's send this random. Okay, let's send random wave out to this pitch input. Maybe a little less of that. I'm going to use the attenuator that we now know, and send a little less of that crazy thing. And if we only hear this now, only listen to that, we can hear that regardless of the different pitches, it kind of stays in the same pitch because it's synchronizing, it's hard syncing to the one before it, which is hard syncing to the one before it. So right now we're just listening to that, but I'm changing the pitch of the one before it, which is also synced to the one before it. That's nice. Interesting. Let's just restart this. The filter has got many inputs. Let's try to send some stuff into the cutoff input and see what happens to the sound. Now we're listening to oscillator 1. Let's take oscillator 2, which we're not listening to, wave output, and send it to cutoff input. And let's do the same thing we did earlier with the FM stuff. This is kind of a little bit like FM. You're sending a very fast waveform to modulate the cutoff knob. It's like doing it super fast. Okay, so let's take that and animate that with the envelope generator. So let's send this into the input of the attenuator, and let's take the envelope output of the filter envelope and set it into the CV input, and let's send this. Is this long enough to? So now the signal is coming here. It's a waveform, audio rate. So it's the sound of oscillator 2. That waveform is coming in here. the envelope generator from the filter is going to decide how much of that, in what shape, that is going to be sent out to the cutoff filter. And where the linear FM input was kind of wacky and is going a bit out of tune and a bit less, it's not easy to control it. The cutoff input is going to stay in tune and it sounds more predictable. So let's listen to that in paraphonic mode, just see what it feels like without planning too much. Whoa! That is crazy, because in paraphonic mode, the second key is now dictating the pitch, which is not going to be lining up really well with the other pitches of the following fingers. But that is cool though. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna make this epic and beautiful. Let's make a sequence of this. Record and yeah, with just fairly simple patch points, you can do crazy stuff. Oops. One thing that I can't do is to have each of the oscillators have its own envelope. There is not enough envelope, and it doesn't work like that. But all of these patch points, they're compatible with Eurorack. So what I'm going to do is going to take one Eurorack modular friend here. How do we do this? Okay, so I'm going to use the Zoya Eurobureau. Let's make something that will make the Eurobureau help us out a little bit. So as you noticed by now, with the multi-trig, each of the oscillators have some sort of gate underneath. We cannot access that. It's opening up the oscillators into the mixer. Okay, so I'm going to try to steal some of the voices, send them into the Zoya, apply a little envelope, and then send it back. Let's see how that works. So let's say the first tone we press is going to adhere to this envelope. All of them are going to adhere to this. Actually, let's make a really long release here. So when I'm pressing it, it never really dies because it's so long release. So I'm going to send that oscillator 1 wave out into the left input there. So there's the waveform. Yeah, and then I'm going to create, yeah, and also we need the MIDI. Let's see, MIDI input, and somewhere on the back here. So now MIDI out is going to MIDI in. So what we need now is one MIDI input that's going to detect the 4 different keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, and cycle in the same way. And let's see. So first, interface module, MIDI notes input. How many notes? 1, 2, 3, 4. That is good, and done. So the MIDI input something should flash in now. Yeah, good. If I press 2 keys, yeah, we have what we want. So I'm going to steal this voice and use the key on for the first of the MIDI notes, and then I'm going to send that into an envelope. So that would be a control, ADSR. Okay. So this one, that is the note on. I'm going to send that to trigger this envelope. And then I'm going to have, a VCA. Let's see, what would that be? Audio module, VCA, done. Okay, so a VCA here. So the audio coming in here will go into the VCA, which is a voltage controlled amplitude. What? Is that right? Yeah, it's controlling the amplitude. And the envelope that I just made will control the amplitude. Let's see. It's now a short start. Let's make it a long start. And then a kind of semi-long fall, sustain over there, and an abrupt end. So now what we hear is without the patch, but the MIDI keyboard is triggering the envelope, which is giving this envelope generation voltage. That's going to set the volume to the sound that I connected from here to the VCA. And we can see, and then I'm going to send this out to output left. Okay, and then we're going to steal that back, maybe with a blue one. So we're sending this sound now and sending it back into channel number 1 and see what happens. Yeah, we have successfully repatched oscillator 1 into an external envelope and VCA, and then back into the mixer. If I take this off, this is going to go straight here again. Yeah. Okay, so the interesting thing would be now, and make one more of these. So I'm going to duplicate this, put it there. Instead of having that patch, which I'm going to delete, I'm going to take the second note, which is here, the gate for second note, and trigger this other second. Duplicate the VCA there. Let's do the same thing over again. Steal the second one and send it there. Send the audio of the second one in there, and have this second envelope. It's getting technical, I know, but stay with me. And send that out to the next output, which is here, and send that in and replace itself. Okay, are you with me? That is cool. But if this had 4 inputs, it'd be even cooler. But if you have like your own, a couple of 4 VCAs and 4 envelopes, you can do this, and then you can control each of the 4 oscillators. So the second note could have a long attack, and the first note could have a short attack. Let's see if we can still solve it. Like, we have some attenuators. Maybe if I send the sound of an oscillator, wave out, number 3 there, I send it to the input here. Okay, I'm gonna kill the first 2. And then we use another ADSR. Yes. The third one, gonna fire this one off, and that one is gonna be sent to the mixer to replace itself at 0, but instead we're gonna use the CV from the onboard envelope there. So we're gonna send the CV coming out from the third envelope now, and send it out to CV out here. Whoop, like so. And that is gonna go into the actual Moog. So now we're just with the third key there. 1, 2, 3. We're sending that envelope straight out to the actual matriarch, and making the same thing over here that we couldn't do in here because we only got 2 audio inputs. And that is pretty cool. It's becoming more and more close to an actual polyphonic synth. So let's make the same thing for the 4th oscillator. So we just have full closure. ADSR, the 4th gate there, and then send that out to separate CV output. That CV could go into the next attenuator here. There's 3. And let's make the same patch. Steal the output of oscillator 4, send it into this attenuator, semi-long patch cable, there's blue, send it into oscillator 4. Now we're making more and more like complex use of an external Eurorack module. Yeah, that is nice. It can become a little bit messy because once the notes cycle there, it's not like they're gonna cycle the same thing as they're doing on the synth. Yeah! So with the power of external Eurorack modules, you can totally transform, translate this into being something that's very customized for your own needs. I think this one is a very good example of something that could do a lot of stuff. You can have extra envelopes and extra LFOs and send them to different parameters, and even make a little sequencer. Or you can buy like a full-fledged sequencer, like for instance the Nerd Sec, which is one of my favorite modular sequencers, or something more simple to loop with, and just loop stuff on the fly. But coming back to the beginning, the stuff that really caught my attention with this was not all the cool features, but just the sheer sound, which I think had such a lovely tone. The delay, the paraphonic mode, So that's a little homage to Metroid, one of my favorite old school Nintendo games. In terms of soundtracks, it's just epic. So I hope I didn't destroy it. So if you enjoy what I'm doing here on YouTube, like these tutorials that I make and other videos and jams and music, please consider throwing in some donation over at Patreon. Patreon is a great service where creators such as myself can sign up and offer a way to donating little peanut money here and there, like tips, every time I come up with a video such as this. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you everyone donating already. I appreciate it more than you know, and you know that. So thank you all, and peace out. See you next time. Stay cuckoo, everyone. Ask questions and be curious. Peace. I think it's so low.